Dave, are you ready over there? We're ready. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the February 19th, 2019 meeting of the Yamhill County Board of Commissioners. This is our informal work session, and first item on our agenda is item A is for a work session, and we have no work session scheduled for today. So that being said, we'll move to our informal session, and this is a time reserved for briefings and reports and consultation among commissioners and staff, reports from commissioners on recent actions in the areas of responsibility and other personnel administrative decisions. So that being said, we'll go down to commissioner updates in a little bit, but let's start with, since Ken's here, let's start with department reports. Let's go on over to Ken Friday. Ken.
Yes, thank you. I'll just go through just the various topics of our department. For planning, this Thursday, February 21st, the Planning Commission is going to be reviewing a conditional use application for by Abbey Road Farms to expand their existing bed and breakfast operation to 9 guest rooms. The request for hearing was submitted by friends of Yamhill County. I think there's a good chance this might come before the board, so if you get any calls about it, please defer them to our department. We also have 2 replat dockets that are scheduled to go to the March 7th Planning Commission hearing. They're a replat or proposed replat of lots in the Woodland Heights subdivision to essentially add 4 additional residential lots. The applicant, Edmund Scherer, believes he can create these lots through parcel size averaging, and we do appear to have a significant amount of opposition to the request. And again, this one is one that I somewhat expect will end up before the Board of Commissioners. So if you get anyone from the Woodland Heights subdivision asking about it, please send them to our department. As for the solid waste section, as you may recall, both Chehalem Parks and Rec and Steve Newberg have expressed interest in using the former Newberg landfill for a park. A little over a week ago, Tim Spencer from DEQ, who's been helping with this permit for years, came over to talk about this and how the county might be able to develop an agreement for other groups to use this site. It was nearly a 2-hour meeting with him, very informative. While we can't transfer all of the cleanup liability, we can transfer the monitoring and DEQ permit management responsibility. We've asked him for examples of other agreements like this with other landfills, and he's looking for that information. I would like it if we did, allow someone else to use that location, that we did transfer the permit and monitoring responsibilities. This would have kind of also a side benefit, an added benefit of freeing up Ashley to work on other solid waste projects, which I know has been discussed a little bit. Related to septic inspections, due to some unforeseen circumstances, our primary septic inspector, Kim Aldrich, was out last week, and she's going to be out this week. She's scheduled to return next Monday. If there are any concerns or questions about septic inspections, please send them to us, and we'll do our best to accommodate them. Ashley Watkins is in training to do septic inspections, and she can do some things, but she has to have those things reviewed by Kim. So we're going to do our best to keep working on items, but there's going to be a little bit of a backlog until Kim returns. As far as
Ken, I have a question.
Yes.
On that. With Kim doing this septic inspection, does she also do septic inspections for DEQ or for the state of Oregon?
Well, really all of her septic inspections are under the auspices of DEQ, and there's a certain level that she can do inspections. If it's a larger project and they have to hire a consultant, then usually the consultant works directly with DEQ. But for single-family residences and certain size of wineries and centers, she can do those septic inspections.
The reason I ask, I just want to make sure that there's and maybe this is a Chris question, if she's an employee of the state of Oregon and she's doing septics, and Yamhill County also pays her for doing septics, is there any potential conflict that could arise by her working for 2 different governmental organizations doing the same thing?
I don't think she technically works for DEQ as a state inspector. I'll leave part of this question for Christian, but I think we have an agreement with the state to do the DEQ inspections, and so otherwise they would fall to the state, and frankly, I think they would take them much longer to do, and so that's why we hire someone, have an agreement with DEQ to do those inspections.
So she's not actually a
I don't
DEQ septic
believe She's
inspector.
in any way a state inspector.
Okay.
She's certified by the state, but not.
But, right, she's certified, but not an actual DEQ inspector.
I don't know, I doubt that she is, but
She's a county employee.
county
Yeah.
employee.
Yeah.
She's a
county
full-time
employee.
county employee.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Ken.
As for code enforcement, even though this isn't directly related to code enforcement, it's somewhat related. The court date for the eviction of the RV campers on the former Roger Schneider property on Hendricks Road was continued to this Friday in court up above us. While we're not really directly involved, we're very much watching to see what happens because it will affect the way we do solid waste enforcement at this site. And, speaking of code enforcement, I have been somewhat concerned about Mike Kemper's, our code enforcement officer's safety. I have spoken to Mr. Huffer about this and appreciate his insights. We're working on that issue. But I just mentioned this because we might be asking for additional equipment to just make sure he's safe when he's doing those inspections. A lot of times he's by himself and he might be out of cell service range, et cetera. Also, Mr. Kemper has been asked by the News Register to write a viewpoints section and to kind of explain the code enforcement process. I believe he's turned that in, and it's scheduled to run this Friday is what I was told.
Okay.
And lastly, we've finished our GIS update with COG. They came in at budget, a little under. So far, the only comment I've received are a couple of comments from Hampton Lumber saying they really like the new site. They say it's a lot more user-friendly. I haven't received any complaints, which always makes me a little nervous, but it was nice to get the compliments from Hampton Lumber. So that's really all I've got for right now.
Okay, Casey, you have questions for Ken? Comments?
I saw I feel like in the paper that there's a couple of hearings coming up. What other hearings are coming up for us?
There's one that hasn't been scheduled yet, but it would go before the Planning Commission, but it's a 43-acre winery. I can't think of the guy's name.
Oh, yeah, that's the one.
But we're hoping that they'll be able to kind of negotiate it. It seems like the person that's next door to the proposed winery is concerned about use of an oak grove, and that they might hold events there, and the winery operator doesn't have plans to do that, but it's his property and he doesn't necessarily want to be restricted, so we're hoping they'll be able to work that out. Obviously, the trail is coming up as a potential. I figured you knew about that, so I didn't put that in.
March 7th.
Pardon?
March 7th.
March 7th.
Yeah, March 7th.
What trail is that, Ken?
That would be, I think it's the Yamhill
Okay.
Trail, yes.
It's not. I think he's saying uppercase T,
Yeah.
right?
And I take it that's on,
Not lowercase.
and that's on the remand back
Yes, that's
from, back
right,
from
and that'll
Luba.
be at the Civic Center.
Okay.
But I figured you guys had seen that. There isn't anything else that I know is
Haven't
going to
got
the
anything on
board.
it yet.
I will say it seems like we've received a lot of requests for hearings, and we used to be able to talk people into going to waiting for us to make the decision and appealing it if they were not satisfied, but they seem to really want to have the hearings before the Planning Commission, which is fine. It's their right to do that, so.
Okay.
And then we have one more hearing next week.
The 28th?
That's right, a solar, I did forget about that one.
That's
There's a
the one I
solar
saw in the
hearing.
paper, actually.
I'm sorry, I
Yes.
apologize. That is one that's coming before you. It's a solar application. They have waived the 150 days on that one, and it's a denial that they're appealing to the Board of Commissioners. I apologize, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
That was the one I was.
I
trying to
forgot
remember,
about it,
actually.
so.
And I think Ken knows this, but for staff and planning department, that one next week, I will not be here. I'll be in
Yeah.
Washington trying to get money for the bypass, so. So Mary, you'll be chairing that meeting.
Yes.
Okay, you have anything for Ken, Mary?
No, other than to say thank you, because your team is exemplary, and we always get really great feedback on your department, so thank you if you don't hear it enough, because we do.
Yeah, and tell Kim and Ashley thanks first, because I think they're both doing a great job, especially Ashley's picked up on that stuff. She's really doing a great job.
She's really
so,
good, yeah.
Really good. Okay, thanks, Ken.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Okay, the next thing is attached to your agenda for today was the consent agenda review. We can either elect, keep, or move things to off of the consent agenda and non-consent agenda review. So if you want to open to your, the next Thursday's agenda for the draft of Thursday's agenda, we have right now for Thursday under new business or old business, we have consideration of the High Heaven Gate permit, and that was continued from February 14th, 2019. Other business, we have adoption of the revised 2019 Board of Commissioner liaison responsibilities. And Ken, have you done any more work? I have the forms of union for the Willamette Falls Locks Commission for the appointment by the governor.
I saw that we did get an email on that one. I haven't had a chance to
Yeah, we
review
have
it
all-
when
we
I was
have all
out
the
at County
forms and
College.
everything we have
So-
returned. And then we just need to place it as a replacement for Commissioner Premisich.
Yeah, they didn't give us any time at County College to check our email.
Oh, they don't give much
Well, why
time.
not? Why not? So anyway, then that, under other business, we also have consideration of contract employment between Yamhill County Sheriff's Office and Carol Reed to provide background investigation services at the rate of $300 per hour. retro-
30.
$30. Boy, I'm in the wrong business. $30 per hour retroactive from December 1, 2018 through July 1, 2019, with automatic renewal for succeeding fiscal year. Do we have any motion to remove those off the consent agenda on either one of those items?
No. Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
Casey, any for you? Okay,
So
so
that-
let it show that those are.
Mr. Chair,
They're not on
they're
the-
not, I don't believe they're on the consent agenda now.
Right.
Would you be then moving?
Oh,
them to the
that's to
consent
say we
agenda?
won't,
I
we're
heard
consensus
moving
to
on
move it.
to, but.
moving them to the consent
right,
agenda.
I don't have any concerns with moving them to the consent agenda.
Okay.
No, no, no.
So they'll go ahead and we'll move those to the consent agenda.
And Mr. Chair, if I could, on
Sure.
the High Heaven Gate, as we discussed last week, I'm planning to get some documents into the packet today that will reflect the revisions to the gate permit
Mhm.
conditions. And then I wanted to clarify if you wanted to have John Phelan from Public Works here on Thursday to talk to you about the maintenance issues that we had discussed on Thursday, or if we're going to set that for a different day.
I think we should set that for a different day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, or.
Next Tuesday.
Can somebody else discuss, I mean, or do we really need him here to discuss those? Do you think those maintenance
Well,
issues?
that's what I heard from the
Yeah.
board last week when we were
Right.
talking about it, that you wanted to hear his perspective on the maintenance and the forward-going obligations once the gates are
Okay,
open.
for now, we'll have him here.
So have them here.
Thursday?
Yep,
Yep.
This
Thursday.
Thursday, okay, we'll see if that works with his,
And if John's not
Schedule,
available, we
plan
can,
on.
another Public Works rep.
maybe
Yeah.
set it, and then, yeah, if
I
they
know
can't
that-
be here, then I guess at the latest, we'd set it over till next Tuesday, but we'll try to get it.
I know that
this
Roy
Thursday
is
then.
pretty aware of it.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. So those items will then move to the consent agenda. Public hearings, we don't have any public hearings that you're aware of, Christian? No? And
Nothing
any
scheduled.
announcements? So let's go ahead and move on to commissioner updates, announcements, or discussions, and we'll start with you, Commissioner Kula.
All right. I'm almost prepared. So thanks to Commissioner Starrett, I got to facilitate, I don't even know what the title is, the water task force this morning. There's at least one other member that was present who's here. Nicole came. And it was great. The city of Willamina hosted us at the West Valley Fire District conference room. And there were a lot of good conversations about collaboration between municipalities and about planning for water storage really was the thing that came out among the farmers and rural residents who were present. And then tonight, I'm meeting with a group for our second in a series of, I think this is a series of 2 meetings specifically about homeless, folks who are homeless, and getting them into a safe situation that works for everybody in the community. And then we'll talk further after that about what we can do as a group. And then, yeah, I'm going to the Willamette River Biological Opinion at Wilsonville City Hall on
Biop.
Friday. And so that'll be an interesting thing to report back to you about as well.
Do you know, Casey, question, the water task force, this morning's meeting was, and does Perrydale Water District get all of the
Steve Caldwell
stuff?
made it.
Steve
Yeah.
Caldwell did make it good.
Yeah, and he's a great voice at the table. He has
That's quite
really
a system
different
they have out there,
experiences,
yeah.
than other folks.
Yeah.
And he has, I really appreciate his strong.
Yeah, he's Steve
opinions.
Caldwell.
Say things.
Good.
Kim Ogren from, she's the planning division manager, I think, is something like that, at Oregon Water Resources, came and talked about the alternatives to their place-based planning grant program or grant-based program. So these are ways of doing water planning that don't involve asking for and accepting money from the state to do the planning. So they're really homegrown, and that was, I think it was exciting to people. Planning on its own can be dull, but a lot of people were really grabbed on the
Well,
specific
if it's a
pieces.
it's a very good topic, and so.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Casey?
That's it.
Okay, Mary.
Okay. Let's see. So I'll be meeting with the city as part of a YCAP gathering with the city to deal with Dustin Court, and that's coming up in a couple of weeks. Do have something very exciting to report. Christian and I haven't talked about the specifics of it, but we have a draft bill for the foreclosure bill that we've been talking about. So leave it to Legislative Council to take something that was 2 sentences and turn it into 7 pages. But I'm going to find out what Christian thinks about this, and this would basically deal with the proceeds of foreclosed property. So I'm excited about that. We have one more that's got to come out of Legislative Council, and that has to do with the DHS foster child improvement project. And let's see, Massey, Casper over at Housing Authority had contacted me saying that they had a broken down maintenance truck and were wondering if Public Works had anything that was sort of hanging around that they could, either buy from them or something. So Massey went over and met with Russ, and I think they're just going to talk about what we are allowed to do. Met with Kathy Byers from the West Valley, who owns or who runs the Bridge Street Coffee out there, and she needs some help with expansion, so I'll be meeting with folks from the Ford Family Foundation. And also Abishaw's been involved in that project as well. She's put about $50,000 back into the community just in payroll with the kids that she's hired, so I think that's really, really important. And let's see, a couple of initiatives regarding homelessness that we're in the process of working on, but they're a little early in the game, so we'll wait until we have more definitive information on that, and that's all I have right now.
Okay, thanks, Mary.
Thank you.
Uh,
Do you have any news on the mandated listing of Psychotropic? Do you know the one from Brittany Rees?
Yeah, that, we're trying to get more co-sponsors.
Okay.
And we're hoping Representative Noss signs on as a co-sponsor. We don't have a hearing for it yet.
Okay. That's why I looked,
But AOC did support that one, so I made sure that Representative Noss knew that. So.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a lot. 2 weeks ago, I went on a week and a half ago, went on a economic development tour with Abishaw. We went to Ransom Distillery up outside of Sheridan. They're having a problem right now that hopefully Sedcor is going to help them work through regarding DEQ, because the water they take in right now, they're classified as a winery or a cidery, which means they're calculated on their water by how much they take in, whereas they're different than from a winery, because about 75 to 80% of the water they take in is used actually to cut their
Right.
spirits, so they don't put out near as much, and they're trying to come up with some solution to either. There's some formulas out there that say, depending on which liquor you're making, how much of the water it takes, or doing an on-site metering on the outfill side too, so they know what's really going in and what's really going out, because the way that DEQ wants to permit it, and so I talked to Branch Point Distilleries outside of Lafayette, they have the same issue. So we have 2 or 3 micro distilleries in Yamhill County that are having a problem with the way that DEQ regulates the discharge water. So Abishaw's working on that one. The Willamette Falls, the Willamette Falls Locks Committee, I have the paperwork for that one for us to discuss. I am spent quite a bit of time the last 3 weeks just down at City Park and walking down on Marsh Lane and walking down on Dustin Court and just sitting down and talking to some of the homeless people, and I've gotten a whole kind of a different perspective on what some of them are saying and what some are accusing. There's the communication seems to be a problem with some of them, but then of course about 8 people I talked to are those that, and Mary will know a lot about this, she's in business, that really, no matter what you do, they don't want help. They don't want to take advantage of programs the county may have or the city may have. They just want to be left. They just want to be left alone. And I thought that was kind of interesting, especially one of them that they weren't with it right now. They're hoping to get their kids back, who's living with their grandma. But we have some situations, and so I'm looking forward to see what's done with Justin Court and done with Marsh Lane. Out there. There was some disappointment expressed, some that I talked to about the city and the town hall the city had, or the work session the city had regarding the housing, affordable housing or workforce housing. Some of the people that attended there that were homeless didn't think it really addressed anybody's problems. So, but that's their opinion. So. And then next week, again, I'll be in Washington, D.C., meeting with federal highways. There's 12 of us going back, meeting with federal highways and our congressional delegation, and seeing if we can get some more money from the bypass. We have new letters from Tillamook County, Lincoln County, and Marion County supporting our efforts. So hopefully we'll see what we can come back with for us. So, and that's all I have. So anybody have
Commissioners,
anything?
thanks for your work.
Yeah.
It's good to know what you're doing, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work on that water task force, Casey. Do you have anything, Christine, you'd like to report? How about you, Ken? If not, meeting adjourned.